What is up, guys? Happy Sunday. We made it to Championship Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well. Good luck today. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely like the video, subscribe. It helps us grow. What we're going to do here is I'm just going to read a lot of the all the player active and active news. We'll get those in and outs for you guys, and then I'll circle back and get your questions answered for you guys. So if you do have questions, put them in the comments. I will get to them shortly. Let me just read some of the player news that's coming through here on the feed. Curtis Samuel's inactive for week 17. I don't think we were using him. I have a couple weird notes here. Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins could be potential QB options for the Cleveland Browns in the offseason. So whatever. Garrett Wilson could request a trade if Aaron Rodgers is the Jets QB. So that's kind of fun. Tyler Boyd will play today. We're not using him. Chase Brown last night is diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. Probably going to rest next week. They do need to win. Big game for them, but they also need Denver to lose. So we'll see if Chase Brown goes. It might be Khalil Herbert starting next weekend. We do have some weather to monitor. There's a lot of weather games. I'll pull that up shortly here, but a lot of rain in the area. It's warm up here in the Midwest. It's warm, a lot of rain, kind of hazy. Let me see what else we got. Devontae Adams will play today. Christian Watson, unlikely to play. He didn't practice all week. So we do like some of the Packer receivers. Jalen Waddle, unlikely to play. Dolphins looking really bad today coming into this one. Tyreek Hill is expected to play, but I'm sure I'll get some Tyreek Hill questions here. And let me just hit refresh and make sure nothing else popped through in the last couple minutes. All right, we should be good. I'll come back and hit refresh on that feed. Let's get into some of the questions. Good morning, Jason. I appreciate you. Been a fun season helping you guys. Half PPR, half yards per half point per carry, maybe. Abdullah, Miller, or Raheem Blackshear. Okay, so that Raiders Saints game, it's probably the ugliest game. Maybe the Titans Jags is pretty ugly too. But I don't have a lot of trust in Raheem Blackshear. I think he's a good pass catching back, but I don't really know how they're going to operate. I also think that, Tampa Bay could be playing from a lead, which could yield some receptions for Blackshear, but they also have Mike Boone, who's going to focus and get some carries and some things like that too. So I'm not quite sure how the Panthers are going to split their backs. That's probably the riskiest one, but I do see some upside in the passing game for Blackshear. I think I'm most interested in Abdullah or Kendre Miller. Now, Kendre Miller, he's going to get the double-digit carries. He's going to get 2-3 catches. You have the stink of the New Orleans Saints to worry about. I do think that if the Saints get close, they're going to probably punch it in with Kendre Miller. Let's just look at what he did last weekend. And I don't think it's going to be as Green Bay pretty much killed him 34-0. Kendre Miller in that game, 8 carries for 15 yards, 2 for 16, 5.1. In the last 3 games, Kendre Miller, his fantasy output, 5.1, 4.6, 9.2. I personally don't know if there's a lot of ceiling here. I do think he's your safest play for 5 to 10 points. But for me, I'm going to go with Amir Abdullah, who has been solid. I have no complaints with Amir Abdullah here. 19.5 last week, 19.6 the week before, 5 catches, 7 catches. You get the half point per PPR, you get the half point per carry, and maybe Abdullah gets up to 7 to 10 carries. We've seen him get no more than 10 carries in a game, but he has a lot of 7s, 10s, 8s, things like that. So I'm leaning towards Abdullah being your best play. I would rank them Abdullah, Kendre, Blackshear. And then since Green Bay, Watson is out, Reed or Addison full PPR. You could probably talk me into Jaden Reed. Just the vibes thing. I think the Packers are going to have to air it out if they're going to win this game. I don't know if they're going to be able to control the game with Josh Jacobs. You have a lot of offensive firepower on the Vikings, and Addison has been a huge part of that. The Packers don't really allow a lot of wide receiver points at the position. So you're banking on an Addison touchdown, which it's been there. But he's kind of been held in check the last couple games. I think they're in the same tier for me. They're ranked next to each other. I'm going to lean Jaden Reed here, who's had 11.1 points in the last 2 games here. Christian Watson out. Reed's going to be on the field a lot. They're going to have to air it out. And Reed had a huge game against the Vikings back in week 4, 7 for 139 and a touchdown. I'm going to lean Jaden Reed, but it's a true toss-up. I'm going to lean Jaden Reed. And then Spears over Aaron Jones, Reed, and Addison, full PPR. So Tajay looking like he's going to get the bell cow workload today. There is some weather that we have to worry about down in Jacksonville. It could be a lot of touches for Tajay Spears with Tony Pollard out. I usually like to lean towards the touches, and I think I'm going to probably rank Tajay Spears higher than Aaron Jones. And with Reed and Addison, like both those guys have really nice floors, really nice ceilings, but I think you probably take the Tajay Spears points. I have him as a top 10, top 12 running back option for you this weekend here. So if I'm going to rank them, I'm usually in a full PPR, I'll go with Tajay Spears. But these are all good options to have. I think all four of these guys are great plays. It's kind of a vibes thing. I'll lean Tajay Spears in a game against Jacksonville. There's going to be some rain. I think Tajay Spears will be the focal point of the offense today. And good morning to Chase Brown. I hope your ankle is feeling better. How we feeling about Achane with no Tua? Start 3, Achane, Spears, and Pittman. I'm going to lock in Tajay Spears as one of your 2. Start 3. I'm assuming that's start 2. And then I'm going to stick with Devon Achane. It is Tyler Huntley, he's a capable back. We haven't really seen a lot of success with Achane in the backup quarterbacks, but he's going to be the focal point of the offense. And I just expect it to be an ugly weather game, a lot of running. Cleveland defense doesn't really scare me. I'm going to stick with Achane and Spears as my 2, and I'm not going to think about Coker. How you feeling about Breece Hall versus Bills? Breece should be fine. Not a great potential matchup here. Bills do allow a lot of points to the running back. And you know, back in week 6, Breece Hall, 113 yards on the ground, 5 for 56 as a receiver. It's a good matchup. We don't love the Jets offense right now. There's a lot of weather to be concerned in that game too. I'll probably pull that up next year. But I feel good about Breece Hall. I have him as a top 12 running back for this week. Where is he? He's RB14 for me. So he's in the mix. He's a strong RB2 play today. And Bruku, good morning. Chig, or I got a bad feeling with Garrett Wilson in flex. It kind of does seem like Garrett Wilson's given up on the team, doesn't he? I'm going to pull up that weather in Buffalo because I think I could maybe go Chig Okonkwo here. If you know, I usually don't like to tell people what to do. I want to give you kind of the both range of outcomes for both players. There's a really good chance Garrett Wilson balls out today and catches that 500th touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. But I'm looking at rain with 21 mile per hour winds. It's not the nicest weather in Buffalo today. I do like Garrett Wilson. I think he's probably your highest ceiling play over Chig Okonkwo, but Okonkwo's been pretty money these last few weeks. But I think you probably got to go with Garrett Wilson. Wilson last time against Buffalo, 8 for 107 and a touchdown. He's been double digits the last 3 games, even despite, you know, this weird stuff with Rodgers and just the stink of the Jets. I think I'm going to stick with Garrett Wilson. I'm not going to say no if you want to go with Chig Okonkwo. But in that game today in Jacksonville, Tennessee at Jacksonville, it's saying definite rain showers, 15 mile per hour winds. There could be a lot of dinking and dunking here. I just don't know if I see the ceiling for Chig Okonkwo. I think he's more of like an 8 to 12 point PPR play, which I feel good about Garrett Wilson being in that same range with the possibility to get you 20. So I'm going to stick with Garrett Wilson, but I don't think it's terrible if you want to go with Mr. Okonkwo. Now I'm going to pull up the weather here. Indianapolis Colts at New York Giants. They're saying chance of rain, 10%. Buffalo hosting the Jets, chance of rain, 21 mile per hour wind. So we might not get a lot of airing it out. Raiders and the Saints are in a dome, so good news there. Carolina at Tampa Bay, there's a 72% chance of rain, a little bit of wind. Dallas at Philly, 13% chance of rain, 13 mile per hour winds. Tennessee at Jacksonville, there's definite rain showers, and it's going to be a 15 mile per hour wind. Miami at Cleveland, 20% chance of rain, 20 mile per hour winds. Green Bay, Minnesota, that game's in a dome. So, like, if you want to break favors and ties for, like, you know, if you want to play Reed, Addison, Aaron Jones, Romeo Doubs, like, that's going to be a good environment for fantasy football today. Just in a dome, high scoring game. I like the Vikings Packers today. Atlanta at Washington tonight. There's going to be definite rain, 13 mile per hour winds. We'll see if Bijan can outduel the Jaden Daniels. Or Pittman or Dobbs over Garrett Wilson. Okay, so those guys I think are better options over Garrett Wilson if you wanted to play a wide receiver. I still think I'm going to lean Garrett Wilson with this news, but You got me thinking now, man. Oh, Michael Pittman Jr. today against the Giants with Joe Flacco. That feels pretty good. I think Pittman's probably the safest call here. And in the games where we've seen Joe Flacco play, Michael Pittman's had some really nice numbers. I'm going to go back to some of these numbers by Pittman. And I believe it was that run here. Pittman had 3 straight games of 12 or more fantasy points when Joe Flacco was the starting quarterback. He caught touchdowns in 2 of them, had a high of 113 yards. That's his season high, by the way. I think you could convince me to go with Pittman. He's got probably the highest floor, and he could have a huge ceiling. He hasn't scored a touchdown since the Joe Flacco games, so maybe he finds the end zone in this one. I do like Romeo Doubs. He's been kind of a touchdown machine. They didn't really need him to do a lot last week, but with Christian Watson out, you're going to see Romeo Doubs be on the field a ton. Let me look at the numbers from last week. Only 2 for 20. They just didn't have to throw the ball against the Saints, but they're going to have to today. I think if I'm ranking these guys, I'll go Pittman, Wilson, Doubs. And again, I still think Wilson's a good play, but there could be some momentum for Michael Pittman today with Joe Flacco taking over. I'm going to hit refresh on some of the feeds and see if we can find any more news tidbits for you guys. Xavier Legette is active today for the Carolina Panthers. Malik Nabers officially active for the Giants. Marquez Valdes-Scantling for the Saints is active, and that's really it. We didn't have a lot of big news names coming in this morning. We pretty much got all of them today. So yeah, we're in good shape for this Sunday. I'm excited. We got a lot on the line today. Fantasy championships, best ball championships, a lot of money moving around today. Not so much like good football games today, though. Colts, Giants, whatever. I do want to see how Buffalo plays. I want to see if Josh Allen can stay ahead in the MVP race. Raiders, Saints, though, that's a kind of a stinker. Carolina, Tampa Bay. Can Tampa Bay win today and get back on track in the NFC South? Atlanta has a tough one tonight against the Commanders. So Tampa Bay probably going to clobber. I think Tampa Bay clobbers the Panthers. Tampa Bay 8-7. The Falcons 8-7. Big potential moves today in the NFC South to get that 4th seed. And then next weekend, Tampa Bay plays in New Orleans. Atlanta. Who does Atlanta get? Atlanta. They get Carolina. So a lot of movement in the NFC South coming soon. What else we got today? Dallas, Philly, playing with Kenny Pickett. I'm kind of nervous to play some of my Philly guys here. I think you're starting Saquon Barkley for sure. You can start A.J. Brown. I think Devonta Smith's more of a flex question, but Kenny Pickett did pummel those guys with targets last week, so I would stick with those guys. They've been very good all year. Tennessee at Jacksonville. This game, I just don't know how it's going to go. I like Mason Rudolph today, but this definite rain showers makes me think that this game could be kind of sloppy. I think if you're playing DraftKings, Tennessee's defense intrigues me a little bit. I think Miami at Cleveland, Cleveland being the home team against Miami, that game makes a lot of sense if you want to play Cleveland Browns defense today. I'm not opposed to that. And then the other defense that I like today, maybe the Raiders at New Orleans. That game, probably not going to have a lot of fantasy points in it, a lot of dinking and dunking going on. And yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to get out of here for the last Sunday morning live of the year. I'm not quite sure what my weekly schedule is going to be going forward. I might do some kind of playoff preview stuff. We're going to start getting some dynasty content out there for you guys. Excited. This is the last weekend of the fantasy season. I hated this week, man. We had games on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It feels like the championship week's been dragged out a little bit too much. So I hope they kind of fix that for us next year. I would be open to, and my leagues have talked about this, but week 14, that week there's bye weeks. If the NFL can figure it out and not have bye weeks in week 14, I think I would start my first round of playoffs in week 14. Week 15, I would do the round 2 and then the championship round 16. So that's something my leagues are going to think about. And Brew Crew says he's 15 minutes away from Giant Stadium. It's actually sunny now. Good news there. Hopefully it stays dry. We got a lot of Joe Flacco, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor shares at hand. And same with Malik Nabers. I have Malik Nabers in a couple places, maybe a little Tyrone Tracy. So hopefully all this rain stays away and we have a dry Sunday. But there will be some rain down in Florida. And I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me on Sunday morning. I'm going to get out of here for the day, though. If you guys do have any last-minute questions, you guys can always hit me up on X at the fellow KGB. Comment this YouTube video, whatever you need. I can answer your questions if they come in. So good luck today, guys. Get the championship. We'll see you next year. We'll see you next year, 2025. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.